Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I have another sharp game to share with you on the white end specialized version of Leela Knight Odds. No King Knight for this game, up against Grandmaster Alex Lenderman. Okay, only a 19 mover here. Time controls 10 plus 5. We have a Vienna game on board. And with knight takes e4, this is in a way an invitation to the Frankenstein-Dracula variation. We don't quite get there in this game. Leela's response is queen h5, takes advantage of one of the weaknesses of the last move. And do know the capture on e4 can be met with the familiar center fork trick. Black gets the piece back. There's no way out of this with a check on b5. c6 is there, and both minors would remain under fire. Okay, so in this game it is queen h5, a very timely move. Black saves the knight, targets the bishop, and most importantly defends against the mate threat on f7. Bishop b3, and now Lenderman here plays bishop e7. So this has a name, and this was news to me. It's described as the monster declined, avoiding the Frankenstein-Dracula variation. What does that look like? Well, if knight c6 is played, this is what we can easily see. This here is the Frankenstein-Dracula variation. What makes this a bit scary is that we have back-to-back-to-back moves where white is threatening to remove this defender with check and then sweep in for mate. And along the way, black kind of only has moves to defend against this idea. g6 being one of them, f5 another, and white continues to try and get into this f7 square from a few different angles. And at this point, black would have to abandon defense of c7 in order to secure f7. Queen e7 or f6 is recommended here. This pawn falls, the king is uncastled, and the rook can also fall. This is the Frankenstein-Dracula variation. Now, in a non-odds game, the valuation here is about 0.8, even though black is down the rook. Strong central presence here with the pawns. Good development for black. Okay, this knight is likely going to fall shortly. Bishop b7, knight d4. Really wild game ahead. Okay, this is avoided in this game. Lenderman at this moment plays bishop e7, queen takes e5. Black castles, unpins the bishop. White, not so quick to castle. In this game, it's d3. Not so quick to bring it to a same sides castles game. Ideally, I think Leela would like an opposite sides castles game. Another imbalance would be present. Ideas of launching pawns towards the enemy king. Okay, d3 it is. Knight c6. Queen f4. Not just to any square. What is she doing from this post? Watching over f5. Taking away an important square from this knight. The knight doesn't have a good forward move. This guy isn't moving. This guy isn't moving. It has a compounding effect on the queenside development. From here, bishop f6, knight d5. What is Leela's plan in response to the check? Well, it's to go uncastled. And a castle by hand. From here, bishop e5, queen g4. Very sensible follow-up. King h8. Out of not one, but two pins, Lenderman is next ready to go with f5. From here, c3, some security over d4, and we have a pocket to castle by hand. From here, f5, queen h5, remaining in a position to support a bishop g5 move. The queen is kicked to f3, but at the same time, now that this guy is on g6, it provides Leela a hook. We see that right away after bishop g7 vacating e5 for the knight. In comes h4. Knight e5, queen g3. Pop quiz. How would you follow up here with this move right around the corner? How are you defending against this? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, the top move in the computer's eyes is h6. Lenderman's move here is knight to f7, and this pretty much brings us to an equal position. Now, why wasn't h6 maybe played even though this is considered a best move? Well, the thing is, Leela would be able to still go to this g5 square. And this line I'm putting on is really scary. You would have to allow this double check and another check. This position is, in Stockfish's eyes, considered still winning for black. It calls it around -2. But man, is this a crazy position to get yourself into as black. Why? King is on an open file. That's one. And the king and queen don't even have a single move. This is, I mean, if you're a human here playing this position as black, you're scared. I can assure you, not a comfortable position at all. So Lenderman, I imagine, anticipated that bishop g5, in other words, would still be a move after h6. So he secures it with a piece. Bishop g5 still. Knight takes bishop. Pawn takes. Leela still has a file to work with, but okay, the king isn't going to have to work its way out of a double check along the way. Another pop quiz. What move would you play here? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, best move from here, Lenderman spots it, is rook to e6. Now, why is this move played? Well, let me point out that if you just say to yourself, well, I got to develop my bishop, my knight doesn't have a great move, let's play b6, bishop b7, you're going to lose. There's a mating attack already with these pieces here. There'd be a sacrifice on h7. King takes rook, knight f6 check, and pick your favorite square on the h-file. We're moving in for mate here on h6, taking away all the squares. So that's a mating attack right here. Is there any other option after this sacrifice on h7 if it's declined with king here? There's knight e7 double check. We know what happens after the king takes the rook, and if the king goes to f8, we would mate with the minor pieces alone. Okay, so black has to, in short, defend against these mating ideas. Rook e6 is the way to do it. This prevents the bishop from seeing that g8 square. And now, there's only one more move to this game. King c2, and Lenderman resigns. Now, does this mean Lenderman thought he was losing here? Not necessarily. I think at a minimum we can say he felt uncomfortable here. Now, this game was one of only two with the time control 10 plus 5. I believe there was a bit of a feeling out with the time controls before settling in on the 15 plus 10 time control. So even though this is a somewhat serious time control, the rapid format, I think the mentality here is by Lenderman, all right, I'm not feeling very comfortable. Let me just go ahead and rematch and try my luck again. If this game continued, let's say black goes with b6 and bishop b7, just trying to complete queenside development. This is how quickly we could have a decisive advantage for white. This is already winning. Big problem on e6, and white is attacking with every piece. We still have mating ideas on this h7 square, and even the g6 square could have instant mate. Now, in the computer's eyes, what is considered best if the game continued after king c2 wants to play c5 and meet knight f4 with c4, cutting out the bishop's view of g8 and pouncing on this e4 square. This is the position it wants to play. It says be prepared to run from here. Okay, that's one way forward. And another one is also not so appealing. It's saying give a check here, but if you're going in that direction, the best from this point, it says undo your last move. Not a very comfortable sequence for a human to play, to simply give a check and then return to e6 to defend against the mating ideas. So either way, it's still going to be quite uncomfortable for Lenderman if the game continued from here, but clearly he felt uncomfortable at this point here after king to c2, ready to activate that last piece, and simply threw in the towel after 19 moves. So, what did you think of this one? Anyhow, feel free, as usual, to leave any feedback to this video in the comments section below. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe took a thing or two away. That's all for now. Take care.